Oh, I forgot to tell you before why we were while I was setting everything up before we get into it tonight, guys. I had a bit of an epiphany today.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was just, a moment of clarity that came to me. I was standing there and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and just instantly came to me that I should probably put some clothes on before I get thrown out of IKEA. Lucas, start the show!
3, 2, 1, 0.
We recommend wearing headphones.
This is the Aussie Gamers
Experience.
News, reviews, and outlandish fun.
Experience it all.
What's up, everyone, and thanks for joining us for episode 252 of the Aussie Gamers Experience podcast. Today is Monday, the 8th of April, 2019. I'm your host, Snoogs, and joining me for hosting duties tonight is, of course, Grejio. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yourself?
I'm pretty good. I'm kicking along. I'm better than I was last week. First and foremost is probably a bit of an apologies for last week. We missed the show because life found a way. It was just crook. That's it. Couldn't get my head working to actually do the show and hit that record button, so it might have been a problem.
And no one wanted to listen to me talk to myself for 2 hours.
Yeah, a couple might have.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have ended badly. I get the impression we would have lost a few people just going, that dude is a fucking insane maniac.
Oh my god, he's still going. Well, in the show this week, we've got Yeah Nah, It's Rage 2, Getting a Free Blackout, Sega, Netflix docos, Was Kotaku Really Throwing Shade, and of course, much, much more. So, how about we start it off, mate? Alright, this week in gaming, we are going back to the year that I finished high school. 1998. Yes, back into the 90s. And the reason I've picked the game this week is I wanted to go back and show people that video games adaptations of movies were always pretty terrible. So on this day in 1998, Judge Dredd was released on the original PlayStation. I bet you never even saw it, did you?
You're right, I didn't. There's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah, I think so. But mind you, it was actually published by Activision. That's one thing I didn't realise.
Oh, wow.
So
well,
yeah, so
you can't always make good games.
Yeah, well, it received reasonably well, sort of high 60s and 70s on the review scores. Developed by a mob called Gremlin Interactive. It was a first-person shooter, but very much in the vein of the 90s. It was the story was actually told in between levels by full-motion video cutscenes.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's amazing.
It is, isn't it?
I know. Can't that was a gift from the 90s. That really was.
There
in my
needs
opinion,
to be
anyway.
More. There needs to be more.
I mean,
if people want to redo old games, that's the sort of shit they need to do.
Yeah. And, you can't do it and not have, the campiest, most... It doesn't matter how good the talent is. You can get some A-list Hollywood stars to do that shit, but the writing and the dialogue has to be so clunky that they can't even save it.
Straight out of a porno, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, just about. Some of those Command and Conquer ones from... some of those, I reckon, were straight out of a porno, and sometimes. To be fair, they had a porn star in one of them. Jenna Jameson played the female commander, the female. It wasn't Tanya. It was the blonde version of Tanya later on in the games.
Every bloke our age is now Googling.
Oh yeah. I'm who the? And there's a bunch of young guys going, who the fuck is Jenna Jameson? I'm well, you know. Was it? No, it wasn't Jenna Jameson. No, my apologies. It was Jenna McCartney. Slight difference. Still softcore porn, but she did Playboy.
It was there.
So she was a Playboy playmate for a while. But still, just the quality was right there. That clunky... James L. Jones couldn't even save that shit, man. He was in there, and he couldn't even save it. It's like... Tim Curry was in Command and Conquer.
He was too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played the Russian general who overthrew the leader. He was the head general of all of the army.
I've got to admit, anytime I see Tim Curry, it's either a mix-up of it, or Pennywise, I should say, or Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
Either way, let's get into the show, eh, mate?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to start it off with some game talk this week. And before we jump into that, though, g'day to Kazza and g'day to Radicus. Thanks for joining in live, guys. Radicus is telling you that the Dread game is still better than Destiny. Righto.
Ooh, okay.
And no, I didn't finish in I didn't complete high school, apparently. Failed recess. I did fail recess. I was usually doing something that wasn't appropriate. We have... we are both as bad as one another, mate, because we've got massive game news this week for what we've been playing through. So you've been building through Forza.
Yep.
And anything
Division?
overly exciting?
All right, so there is a slight tweak. Obviously, people weren't happy with how the playlist was working in the first week.
Mm-hmm.
As I stated the other week when I said I played through the first week, I missed out on 100% by 2% because I missed out on 2 daily challenges.
Yep.
That's frustrating, and I'm gathering a lot of other people did, and I'm sure a lot of people just didn't get through the PvP element of the week, which I'm going to say is fucking cancer. Like, even when you work together...
That's... No. Can't call it that.
Oh, I can.
Call it AIDS, because AIDS is funny now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
South Park made it funny. Remember? They said it doesn't matter. Anyway.
Okay. This isn't funny. That's the problem. It is purely rage-invoking.
Okay.
It is terrible. Anyway, that aside. So they've changed it to you only have to get... And the other weird part was that, like I said, you probably only were going to need about 2.5 weeks worth of content to finish the 100% the month challenge. So it seemed really uneven that you would only have to finish like a little over half of the content for the month to get 100% in the month, but you had to complete every single thing to get 100% in the week. So they've changed it to you only have to complete 80% to get the top prize for the week and 80% to get the top prize for the month. So, and they credited me for the week that it passed. So I still ended up, even though I missed it, they credited me back and said, well, you got more than 80%, so you still get the prize.
So you got a participation award is what you're saying?
Something like that, yeah.
Thank you, millennials.
Yeah, thank you for, complaining about stuff being too hard.
Oh, good. Well, yes, mate, mine, my last 3 weeks, I think, pretty much, has been taken up with the Division 2. So I'm now at endgame. I am very much at endgame. I am at World Tier 4. So once you get to level 30, your map then gets invaded. So you've got... No, Kaz, a wrong endgame, mate. It's not the Avengers. Anyway, you've got... You go through when you take back, DC from the different gangs. Then you get to this endgame and you get invaded by the Black Tusks, which is like this paramilitary sort of group. And very, very smart, very strong. They've got all the gadgets that you've got, plus more. And they're extremely cunning as well. They work in packs. And it's quite a challenge, actually. And you've also got sort of the world tiers come back. So previously, the world tiers worked very much differently. Now you have to go through and then take back sections of the map. And then that's how you progress from World Tier 1 up until World Tier 4. Once you're at World Tier 4, There is another stronghold that is open, which is the Black Tusk stronghold, which is like their home base. You've then got to invade that, and that puts you into World Tier 5 once you get through it. So all the way through, you're constantly... The grind is there, although it's not too bad. You've always got plenty to do, and because the world is getting invaded, it's very much alive. So even though you've got sort of, you know, control points or what do you call them? Control points will do.
Yep.
You'll take them over, and then, you know, your allies will move into them and look after them, and they'll be made as a base for people to go out and get all these bits and pieces. Then the Black Tusks will come in, or even another one of the gangs will come in and then take it back and kill the leader and take it back from who was looking after it. So you've then got to go and take it back from them, and it's kind of this always moving thing. But because you're always doing it, you're always dropping more gear as well. And yeah, it's just, there's plenty to do each and every night. There's bounties to do, there's all this endgame content, there's always stuff coming up, plus you've got a plethora of PvP and different PvP options. The Dark Zone is still a shit fight, because let's face it, as soon as you put people in together with other people, you can call it a miniature social experiment and just watch how doomed the world is. And the Dark Zone is a perfect example of that. The difference is, the Dark Zone in the first one I knew like the back of my hand. I'm still learning this one, or the three different ones, I'm still learning them. And once I know them, then I will be one of those people that's just a bit of a pain in the arse anyway. But I generally don't do PvP. I go into the Dark Zone to just have that different element, and you get to a point where in the outside world, your things are getting borderline easy. The Dark Zone's like another step above that. And then you've also got this constant fear that someone's going to walk up behind you, pop their rogue, and then lace into you. So there's all these different options and different things. Builds are back. My builds are doing my head in. At the moment, they're very different from the first game. I had a build that was set up that was absolutely perfect. I had massive critical hit and exotic damage. I also had a military M16 rifle with a extended mag on it, which had an extra 30 rounds. They changed...
Decent.
Yeah, so I had, I think, 61 rounds. They changed and nerfed all the mods. So, because the mods used to have, say you'd get plus 10% crit hit damage, you'd lose 5% accuracy. So you'd sort of had to work out the give and take of what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it. So now, because I've lost all that, they've gotten rid of the negative effects. They're taken out, so they've sort of nerfed the positives. So I've only got 10 extra rounds. But it's very frustrating compared to what it used to be. Considering previously I would be able to knock down one of the big heavy guys in one clip. Now it takes two, but because I've got to change rounds, it gives them a chance to get behind cover, or it just changes the dynamic hugely, much more than I expected it to.
Yep.
But I love it. There's lots of little things that I'd probably tweak. But then again, I'm someone that doesn't really complain about the meta too much. I play the game to the meta.
Yep. And
the meta's been changed already, which is frustrating in itself, because they changed it. It adversely affected other areas. Whereas your specialised weapons, you don't get ammo dropping for them as much. You don't get the exotic weapon, or not the exotic, the high-end weapons dropping as much. And there's all sorts of things that have changed, but on the plus side, Ubisoft and Massive have been completely open about it all and constantly communicating with people on Twitter, which has been fantastic. So it's brilliant, mate.
Good.
Big news for it.
You're gonna get that anyway.
Yeah.
Beginning of the game, they'll change the meta lots in the beginning,
Yeah,
just trying to get
100%.
the balance right.
Yeah.
You know, so
And it's the
it'll
same.
calm down.
Yeah, it's the same as previous. You know, when I walked into the Dark Zone with my M16, which had 60 rounds of it, and there was a four-man rogue team, and I dropped 3 of them before I had to change, and because I had to change rounds, that's when the 4th got me. And I can completely understand it, but again, it's frustrating because I've built to the meta, and it's got taken away. But the big news that I'm very much looking forward to, and being that I've got a nice little clan that I've been running around with and meeting lots of new people over there, is April 25th, the raid is going live.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we are getting a raid in the Division 2. Not a lot that I know about it yet. I'm really hoping it's similar to the style of Raid of Destiny, where there's got that big puzzle element as well.
Yep.
And because if it's just going to be, an hour of bullet sponge, I can do that anyway. But it's an 8-man or an 8-person team in the raid, which I think is going to be awesome. So I can't wait.
Hopefully.
I'm very intrigued on how the dynamics of it are going to work. Whether it's going to be, an 8-person. Obviously, we've got the clan. Just earlier tonight, it looks as though the clan's actually started up a Discord channel, which I've got I've been invited to and I've joined. So we can communicate via Discord. But I would like to know if it's going to be, an 8-person in-game chat, and see how that works. That always intrigues me. The more people in-game chat. So, who knows? Time will tell. But, mate, one other thing the Division's been getting a lot of talk about is all of its secrets. And there is literally secrets throughout. There's that many little throwbacks, that many little Easter eggs. It's quite funny. And a big one's apparently been confirmed.
Has.
So, the Creed of Assassins.
The Creed of Assassins.
Yep.
I know Luke is going to be stoked for this one, because you know how much he's really enjoyed the last couple of Assassins Creedless games. So yeah, they've leaked what the setting of the new 2020 Assassin's Creed's going to be, which is Vikings. Those people that clearly didn't have much of a creed to begin with.
Yeah, and considering that
they were to kill each other.
They were pre-Templar.
Yeah, that's true. They were around about the same time, so there's no way that they're very similar timeline.
Yeah,
they sort of bled into, but either way, there's no possible way.
Yeah,
story-wise that Altair and all those dudes got over just to drop off the creed to one dude in Viking land and get that kicked off. But hey, you never know. Maybe the gods came back. That crazy whacked out storyline that Greg hates in that stupid game.
Yeah,
like it's an amazing game, but then they took some story and added to it, and I went, "What the hell? You guys were smoking crack when you wrote this story." I just skipped through that. I'm just like, let me stealth kill people. Just leave the story out.
Yeah, just let me be an assassin. But thanks.
Anyway, yeah, that's right. Every time you get, we're going back in the Animus. Anyway, guess we're gonna slow the story down. Anyway, so that's. I mean, look, I'm excited. I'm not as anal about there being why there's a creed or if there's a creed or the fact that there's no creed or whatever. I just like the idea of assassins, and a few people have already put up some ideas, because they're obviously talking about there'll still be some naval combat around the Vikings, even though that really wasn't a massive thing that they used to do.
No, they just sort of used the boats to land and conquer.
Yeah, pretty much. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. There's not exactly massive structures, from my understanding, during they didn't exactly make massive structures that you could climb. So I'm suggesting that maybe it's going to be very free climbing, rock climbing, available.
A lot of it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. You know, this could be either the final nail in the coffin for us. Oh no, who am I kidding? That monster's going to keep going no matter what.
That's
until
always
they just
going.
run out of. They're just going to keep running. They keep going until we've got future assassins now. It'll be Assassin's Creed 3029. It'll be
Assassin's
Blade Runner
Creed
style.
John Connor.
Yeah. The Templars finally turned on Skynet, and now all the Templars are T-100s, and the Resistance, the human Resistance, is the Assassin's Creed. John Connor is the new Altair. And Ubi's just sitting there with an notepad going, fuck yeah, that's a mad idea.
And mate, how did Ubisoft spread this little Easter egg?
The only way that I know that it was confirmed, you can either take this with a grain of salt or not, because it came from, I have to name my source, it was Kotaku. I was doing some research on another thing we're going to talk about tonight, and I came across this on Kotaku's website, and they said that they had two sources, independent sources, that work closely with the games that confirmed that, yes, there will be Vikings in the next Assassin's Creed. So that's where they've got it from. So
yeah, but
that's as in, where did we pick up the tidbit, the teaser?
Well, where's the teaser? How is the teaser shown?
Oh, so you probably better explain it because you've actually seen it. Seeing
yeah, well, there's
the whole reason we're talking about it now is because it's part of the game you were just talking about.
Yes, well, it's in the Division 2. It is on a poster, and I am sure I've seen it more than once. So it's a poster of
a Templar. What it looks of it.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Templar with a Viking helmet.
Yeah.
So it's a bit strange.
And it's got like the word Valhalla written at the top of it, and it's got some other little bits of writing, and they've got the sword of Valhalla in one hand, and then there's got an orb in the other, and it's claimed that the orb is what is known as the Apple of Eden, which is a big piece of lore from Assassin's Creed.
Do you know what the funniest thing about it is, though? Well, not even funniest, but just one of the things. I'm not a fan of Assassin's Creed, right? We all know that here amongst ourselves, and people have heard me in the past say it. Mm-hmm. So I, though personally, and because I love history and that sort, especially like the dark European history, that's where a lot of the Templar.
Excited.
Yeah, so I saw this, and I saw the Templar on there, and I just looked at it and went, "Oh, that looks awesome," and then went on my merry way. Didn't even put two and two together, and I saw it like the second day that I was playing it.
Yep.
So it was weeks ago. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a pretty cool image, and I've seen it, dozens of times since then.
Yep.
In different parts of the map, and yeah, never clicked until probably maybe 2 or 3 days ago when I saw it. I think on Reddit. So yeah, it's a nice one of those little subtle things that they've thrown in. All right, but mate. Let's jump on over to the news, all right? Seeing as we've led into the news, with a bit of news anyway, you were just speaking about Kotaku. Now, Kotaku have, in the last week or so, released an article that, from I haven't read the article. Now, I know it involves the BioWare and Anthem, and the release of Anthem, and to do with the working conditions of BioWare. This is my conception of it, or my assumption, I should say, because I've only seen. I haven't read the article. I've seen little bits on Twitter, and of course Reddit. So, mate, fill us in. What's the big hoo-ha about? What's the background behind it?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm gonna give you some very brief points about the article. I'm not gonna give you blow for blows because it is quite a long article. It's very in depth, And to be honest, if you're in any way interested, you really should read it for yourself.
Okay, what's the overarching sort of like where does it kick off, or what kicked it off?
Yeah, so the person who wrote the article, and I didn't look at who it was, so I can't give you his name. They interviewed about 19 separate people from BioWare who were involved with the making of Anthem. And from his interviewing of these 19 people, he obviously got a very good sense and got some very in-depth look into the Leviathan that was the creation of Anthem. And the troubles pretty much from day one that this game has had. Now, there's a whole bunch of things from the mental health of its employees, the lack of leadership in the process, and we're talking about a 7-year process. There's the lack of resources, the rewrites. On top of that, fighting with the tech itself. Essentially, it talks about how EA is pretty much mandated that its developers will use the Frostbite engine to create their games. Mm-hmm. This is obviously to save EA money on licensing and stuff like that, and having multiple engines, especially third-party engines like Unreal and stuff like that. They don't have to pay for them. They can use their in-house Frostbite engine, which is fine for the games that Frostbite was created for, like Battlefield.
Yeah.
They pretty much came into this, and the toolset, which is Frostbite, had no third-person camera view. Just a whole bunch of things, and how that pretty much, it was described as Frostbite is a toolset full of razor blades. And that is how the developers felt about their tools. They talked about how slow it was. They talked about how they took for granted BioWare took for granted some of the other engines they'd used previously. And then when they got the Frostbite, they realized that they'd been lucky up until this point. And it also talked about how, when I say lack of resources, it's also how EA as a company divvied up the tech support for Frostbite. And essentially it comes down to he who brings in the bucks gets more support. And games like FIFA, who is also having to develop a game within Frostbite for the first time, at the same time Anthem was doing the same thing. FIFA, as we know, is EA's number one money spinner versus BioWare's brand new IP that is untested and at this point running off the dollars of Mass Effect Andromeda, which also wasn't a great success either. So all these things came together to create what is essentially, from their point of view, a proverbial shitstorm, and what ended up being the reason for so many problems with that game on launch, and why so many people feel the way they do. Like I know me and Lucas have very differing opinions about how you should receive this game, but after reading that, I felt completely justified in how I felt about the fact that it's unacceptable that a game comes out like this. And some people would say the article's throwing shade. And previous to another experience I had less than 24 hours beforehand, I could have seen the valid point of that point of view would have brought. But I guess leading into my next news topic, which was the Netflix doco Play Hard, which is a documentary on the creation of the game For Honor. And it looks at the creative director, Jason Vanderberg, the producer, Stephen Carden, the marketing director, Luke Duchesne, I'm sorry, that's probably pronounced wrong, and Yanis Malat, who is the CEO of Ubisoft Montreal. And it takes a real deep dive. I won't say deep dive. It takes as much of a dive as probably Ubisoft were going to let them have of the process. But there's a lot of telling stuff in there, and there's some parallels between what I saw in that documentary and what is talked about in this article, where I actually think the article is pretty much shooting straight. I don't think it's throwing shade. So some of the things like the talk around mental health, the lack of resources, and as the project moves on, the resources do get pulled dramatically. You usually have lots at the front end and very little by the back end, and that's not always a good business decision. So look, the documentary is really good. Sit down and watch it. You'll get a nice insight to the different pieces of the puzzle. You'll see why we sometimes look. There was controversy around For Honor before it came out, like the controversy of cutting couch co-op or couch play,
and no story and whatnot.
And yeah, there's
no single player campaign, so to speak.
Yeah, and there were some really telling things that happened, and you see why some of those things don't happen. Some of them are just because their lack of resources. Some of it is just the creative person in charge that said, "This is my vision." That doesn't always add up when it gets to the producers and the people with the money. And they go, well, that's nice, but this is what we can afford to do, so this is what we're doing. And sometimes some of those cats have already been let out of the bag, so disappointments are bound to happen.
Awesome.
The other I missed one of the things in the article. Another telling thing about Anthem and why it ended up the way it was, like I said, it was a 7-year process. That game was in production for 7 years. And the majority of people said the majority of the game was made in the last 18 months of that 7 years. Once again,
so what
that's
was
a
the
very
other
telling.
5.5 years? What, just getting the engine right?
It was, getting the engine right. Lack of leadership. So they said there were like things where the leadership team couldn't agree. So there was 9 times out of 10, they just, instead of someone taking a stand and just going, this is the direction we're taking, so be it, everyone else can get bent, this is where we're going. They wouldn't. They just leave it unresolved. And sometimes they said it would take years for some of these things to get resolved just because they just keep trying and doing this and then doing that and essentially just faffing around until the answer just sort of went, well, I guess this is the best way of doing it, kind of thing. This, like I said, there's lots of things, like even staff losses in BioWare. Some of their best staff left partway through the process, and that derailed some of the things that went on. And in the end, the company was just about pumping out what they could, and so that's why there's repetition in the levels. That's why there was bugs from the beginning, because it wasn't play tested properly. And then on top of that, the bugs were built in because they were too hard to fix, because Frostbite made it too hard to fix, so people just hacked around stuff, because it was easier to do that than to call up a tech support that, sometimes they were talking about the fact that they'd have to do, every time they changed something, they had to do a lighting bake to get everything to restart the whole process again. And just the lighting bake alone would take 24 hours just to redo what had already done once before. They hadn't changed any lighting things. They just changed something in the level, but then had to reconfigure the lighting again, and it would take 24 hours. And they said, that's ridiculous. Some engines can do that in like hours, not day kind of thing. So anyway, like I said, if you're really interested, really I'm suggesting read the article for yourself. It is a long read. It took me about an hour to sit down and read through it all. But like I said, if you're interested in the whys and the hows, it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah, so that's Kotaku. I'll see if I can find a link for it and put it in the show notes. And the documentary
Netflix. Play Hard on Netflix is, for me, that's another really good way. If you're interested, it's actually better for looking at a more broad strokes how a game is made. That's kind of more what I think they were trying to go for, and some of the complexities of it. I think that's what Ubisoft were trying to portray. It just comes off that you can see some of the little things, and you can go, but that, and, oh yeah, that was a problem, wasn't it? And yeah, so it is just interesting. So.
Some more news, mate. A game that you're looking forward to, Rage 2. Now, I've got a little bit of a tidbit for you. So bear with me. Hopefully this comes through. Excuse me. And tell me what you think about this.
I've never even seen a kangaroo jump this high. Because they're lazy bastards. Heads up! Time to get shit-faced! Mate! You got flattened. This should get you from A to B. Mate, who cut your hair like that? Bloody rip snorter. Take that, you goose. Walker's on fucking fire. Oh, majestic as fuck. Oh, super punch. Holy guacamole, how did you do that? Crikey, this is fun to watch in the safety of the commentary booth.
What the fuck? That is someone being overtly Australian.
That is Aussie Man from Aussie Man Reviews.
There you go.
He is lending his voice by activating a cheat called the wing stick cheat within the game.
Right.
And yeah, you can get his voiceover.
Right. That's almost worth it.
I know. I'm pretty sure it's actually one of the pre-order bonuses.
You know what I find really amusing, though? Is when we talked about Australian characters being added to Siege.
Yeah.
Like, that was the kind of voiceover that we were kind of expecting, that really overtly caricatured Australian ochre crap. And we're sitting there going, I hope it's not that. But as soon as we put it in this game, we're like, oh my goodness, I'd play that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but Rage 2 is a different animal. Rage 2 is a big explosions, over the top, so he kind of works.
Yeah.
There's just... I love it. Brilliant, some of it. Yeah. So that's releasing, what? May the 14th. So 10 days after Star Wars Day. So not too far to go now.
No, not at all.
You get to play with some orcas and watch out for those lazy kangaroos.
Those lazy kangaroos.
Damn, they're everywhere.
They are.
Mate, PAX has just finished up.
Oh boy, yes it did.
What did we go through?
I'm not going to go through all of it because there's way too much. So I'm just going to go through a lot of the stuff that I liked and thought you guys might like to hear about.
Yep.
Some of it is a little bit more in depth. Some of it's just here's some nice to knows. But let me start out with the big news of the weekend, the one that everyone was waiting for, and that was Borderlands 3.
Everyone except for me, but yeah.
So they dropped the trailer, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. That over-the-top, get as much loot as you possibly, let it just rain loot trailer that, you know, they kind of always sort of had. But there's some cool things that I saw in it. There's lots of different environments, and it changes a lot. The previous Borderlands games, what I've played, it tends to be very, I want to use the phrase monotone, but you know, it's very singular in its feel, and you very rarely get a sort of change in scenery. You do sort of, but nothing drastic. Whereas this seems to have some very big, drastic, vastly changing areas. There's like arid places, there's swamplands, there's snow, you know, there's cities, and like proper cities, not just sort of outposts. So yeah, it looks really cool. There's a bunch of old characters coming back that will from both 1 and 2. There's the big dude whose name I forgot at the beginning of Borderlands 1 that looks like Roman from GTA. He's back. Guy that drives the bus. There's a bunch of old players. You obviously have 3 new characters to play as. There's 1 billion guns to collect, one of which has legs and can walk by itself.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a little puppy dog. It's like It's a puppy dog submachine gun kind of thing. It just runs along like a turret with legs. Anyway, the other piece of information that I got, but not from the trailer, was it has a new loot system. So in the previous games, when you get loot drops, it's shared between your players when you're playing when you're playing co-op. So if there's one shotgun and there's two of you, you rock, paper, scissors, or it's the first person that grabs it gets it kind of thing. What they're saying is there'll now be everyone has their own individual loot system. So it will drop loot that's individual to each player kind of thing. So it'll drop, and one person will see a shotgun, one person might see the same shotgun, but they'll both be able to pick it up.
Standard
kind of
looter shooter instead of the first come, first serve.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, to stop people from rioting in the streets, because that's the kind of thing that can upset true believers, they say you can switch from the new system to the classic system. So you can go back to shared loot if you want. It's just a switch in the settings. So that's good. They also mentioned that there's like a remastered version of the original Borderlands for PC that's available. So if you play on PC and have yet to play it and you still think, I might give it a crack, maybe now's the time to have a look at the revamped version of it. So that's... Yeah, look, have a crack. It's worth a crack. So that's Borderlands 3. Next is some news, a very quick bit of news from Project CD Red. They said that their next E3 is going to be the most important and biggest in their history of E3s. Which leads me to believe that...
When is their next E3?
Well...
Is it going to be this one or next one?
I guess they were leading us to believe that it was the one coming.
Yeah.
But it leads me to believe that we're not only getting a release date for Cyberpunk, but they're going to be telling us about a new game they're working on. That, by the sound of it. So, because you can't possibly have the biggest and most important game at E3 of your history and just be there to announce one game. Surely not. So, interesting. Watch this space. Next one, Outer Worlds. A game that I'm actually quite excited. It's made by Obsidian, and for those of you who listen carefully to this show, you'll know how I feel about Obsidian. They're the ones that make Fallout games.
Yeah.
As opposed to everyone else who doesn't make
Every
Fallout
time I hear
games.
about you and talking about Obsidian, all I hear is because
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had a gameplay trailer demo of Outer Worlds. Look, the gameplay is very Fallout. Very, very Fallout. The quests feel like, watching them and looking at the story and what the quests are, they feel very, very much like original Fallout sort of side quests and quests
what's
and
it called
why you
again?
would do them. It's called Outer Worlds.
Ooh, yes, very Fallout, isn't it?
Yeah. The city that they were playing in, it had a very Bioshock feel to it, a very Rapture-y feel to it, only obviously not underwater. So it looked really cool. It has a slow down combat VATS kind of system, similar to what Fallout 70. It doesn't pause the game; it slows it down. They didn't explain how it triggers, but they sort of showed it off. But the main difference is when you aim your gun at a person, as you pointed at whatever limb or piece of body that you want to target, it actually, instead of telling you the percentage of a hit, because it's not a roll of the dice, it's a straight shoot, it's a shooter, it actually tells you what damage effect you're going to have. So, like, when you aimed at the head, it said blind. So you obviously, if you shoot them in the head, it'll blind them temporarily, or
bullets
something along those lines.
That. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it will do that. They obviously have like a damage effects sort of thing going on, a bit like Borderlands. So you'll have like corrosion and arc damage and stuff like that.
Yeah. Don't worry about all the little bits and pieces. What's the story? Where's it fit? Because I'm looking at pictures here, and I'm intrigued because to me it's Fallout. It's it's Vegas. It's that's what I'm seeing.
So I don't know a great deal about the story yet.
Yep.
But from what I've gleaned, it's a bit of and you'll appreciate this when I say these two words together. It's kind of like a space western.
Booyah! Sign me up.
Yeah. So that's the feel I've kind of got from it. It's obviously set in space, but at the same time, it's got a very westerny feel to it. Yeah. So,
awesome. Any ideas on when?
Not yet.
Nothing
Not
yet?
that I know of. Yeah, there's the other two little things that I saw in it was a thing called science weapons, which are these weapons that have wacky effects like a shrink ray gun, and they also have this thing. I can't remember what they call it, but it's essentially a glitch baton.
Mm-hmm.
They had this glitch when they were making the game, and the glitch was so funny that they kept it in the game and turned it into a weapon where you could actually trigger the glitch. What it does is when you hit them with this baton, it misshapes their body.
Oh, God.
So it like reshapes their head and like turns them into these, gronky, the things that like Mass Effect Andromeda got nailed for. They've put that in their game intentionally, kind of thing, because it's funny when it's intentional.
When it's intentional, it's amusing. Yeah. All right.
Yep. And then there's like this floor versus perk system that they've got, which sounds interesting, but obviously we'll get into that later when I know more details.
Cool.
The next game is What the Golf.
What the Golf?
What the Golf. They describe it as the golf game for people who do not care for golf.
Mm-hmm.
So...
mobile game.
It is an acid trip of a golf game. Essentially, you'll have like a scene, and not necessarily a golf scene, but there'll be a scene, and you'll have to use golf physics to essentially finish the puzzle. And in reality, like it's wacky. Like you might end up being like there's like a street with a bunch of houses, and one of the houses is actually the ball, and you've got to like knock the house down the street, kind of thing. Or something like that. It's weird, it's wacky. It's a golf physics game, essentially, puzzle game. That looked really fun. Okay. Katana Zero. It's another one. It's an 8-bit ninja platformer. Looks really beautiful. It's action packed. It's really, really on point. It looks really good. I will probably have a crack at that one because it looks
awesome.
Really good. Crash Team Racing is getting a remake.
Yep.
My Friend Pedro. This is they classify it as a split shooter platformer.
My friend. Oh, if I push the
You'll like this. This is the premise. So essentially,
My Friend.
you are told what
Pedro.
to do by Pedro, who is a Hispanic homicidal banana.
Coming in June. My
Yeah.
Friend Pedro.
Yeah, looks cool. It looks psychotic. It looks like it's going to be an absolute ride.
I've seen this. I've seen gameplay of this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Looks good. Streets of Rage 4 is being made.
Okay.
So
wasn't expected.
yeah, like who would have thought that after all this time they went, you know what we need to do? Make a Streets of Rage 4. It's been long enough. And to be fair, it probably has been. Look at Streets of Rage and just think we made it for 2019. So the graphics have just been boosted. Essentially, it's the same gameplay. I'm sure there's going to be some added mechanics.
This just proves that Leisure Suit Larry 2019 would work.
Quite possibly.
It'd be completely and utterly unable to be released anywhere because everyone would cry because it's so un-PC, but it would work.
Yes. And then my last bit of info from coming out of PAX, and I think it was Squirrel the other week that said he wanted the Burnout remake.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a new Burnout. Well, he might just get one, but it's not going to be Burnout. It's called Dangerous Driving, and it's Criterion's spiritual successor to Burnout. It has takedowns and aftertouch. Essentially, the mechanics and the premise of the game and all the bits and pieces are literally lifted out of Burnout and dropped into this game. Some of the other things that are added to it, there's now like a cop thing where you can be a cop and chase down and target perps, and I'm sure there's going to be a PvP element to that where you can play cops and robbers. And but yeah, it's looking good. It looks pretty.
I saw a bit of an interview with the guys that made it, and they were, in their words, it was something along the lines of they were sick and tired of driving around all day, every day, and then coming home and driving what felt like a normal car. So they wanted to make a game that was over the top. It was in that Burnout sort of vein, and it rewarded you the more outlandish that you were.
Yep.
And I thought that's just brilliant. That sounds right up my alley. Thank you very much. I'll take it.
Yep. It really is like a Burnout. Wasn't the last one? The one before it. Can't remember what it's called. But there was like a game mode where you literally just jumped your car into oncoming traffic and see how many cars you could smash. It's got that feel to it. It's just that launch yourself head first into, don't look, don't ask questions, just
get her
mash
done.
the pedal to the floor and just go kind of thing.
Nice.
You know, what happens will happen.
Alrighty. Well, over in the chat, Radicus Gears Pop has been released. I'll give it a try. Has it? I wasn't that interested, so I wasn't keeping an eye out for that. But let's have a look.
All the joy of Gears.
It's on Android.
All the cuteness of Pop.
It's on download. There we go. Awesome.
Super on.
And he's also said, do another Double Dragon. I'm guessing the Ron Jeremy part was for Leisure Suit. And Kaz's wants a Simpsons Hit and Run HD remaster. I'm with you, Kaz. That would be good fun. About time we got another Simpsons game, wasn't it?
No Gears Pop on Apple.
Is it on yours?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, what? Android's got something first. 102 meg.
It'll be first.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, nothing on my phone. No Gears Pop for me.
Oh, well, that's...
I'll survive.
Oh, good. All right, mate. Anything else for PAX?
That's all I took note of. So,
all right, cool. Because I haven't actually watched it. I haven't really followed it up.
Yeah, there's heaps. Like, it's not even... It's only a slither. We could do a whole 2-hour show just on PAX, like we do for E3. It's that big. So, if jump on YouTube, there's heaps of stuff. So.
Alrighty. All right, mate. Well, the Sega Mega Drive Mini has been announced. Now,
it was only a matter of time, wasn't it?
It was only a matter of time. I think there's been a few fake ones floating around, or fake versions of it. So they've come out and gone, let's release a proper one. I'm not generally interested in the minis, especially, growing up, I wasn't really a Nintendo fan. If anything, I was more Sega because I had a Sega Game Gear.
Mm-hmm.
But I played most of my gaming on PC back then. And
as did I.
Exactly. And this one, Radicus wants an Amiga Mini. Yes, that was the other one that I played a lot on, was the Amiga. The Sega Mega Drive Mini, I'm intrigued. I'm very much interested. because there's 40 games that are going to be on it, they've released the first 10. Now, when the PlayStation released theirs, everyone sort of looked at it and went, ugh. You know, there was nothing.
Yep.
It was like, oh, okay, is that it? This one, though, Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, that was always going to be on there.
Yeah,
but then you've got Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Toe Jam and Earl, Comic Zone, Altered Beast, and Gunstar Heroes. Now, they are the first 10 out of 40 that are being released for this game. And I'm all but sold on it.
Well, look, here's the thing. Like, the SNES Mini and the Sega Mega Drive Mini, those sort of lend themselves to a Mini. The PS was a waste of time. All the games that would fit on a Mini weren't worth playing. They weren't the ones you played. No. That's not why you bought a PlayStation. You didn't buy a PlayStation to play those games. You bought a PlayStation to play Gran Turismo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, of course, these are going to make more sense. So, yeah, look, I'll be interested to see what the other 30 games are. That's for sure. There's got to be.
I'm borderline at the point where I don't care.
Oh yeah, I mean, Altered Beast,
Sonic.
Altered
I
Beast
can show.
Sonic.
I can show Sonic to the kids and Echo as well. You know, that's something that the girls would absolutely love. And then I've got Toe Jam and Earl to cackle along to myself, and of course Altered Beast, and Castlevania. It's just brilliant.
Oh, it's got to have Earthworm Jim too, surely.
Surely that's got to be in there somewhere.
It's got to be there.
All right, mate. Well, the last bit of news for yourself. Actually, we'll jump back in to the guys chatting away. Radicus Amiga Mini, yep. Kaz Commodore 64 Mini, yeah.
They've already done that. They've already done the Com64 Mini.
Have they?
Yep. Or at least
someone
they're going to. I was on the mailing list this time a year ago. I'm pretty sure it's already been out.
Okay.
I was on the mailing list because I was like, yes, all right, Com64. I remember playing on my Com64. Yeah, but they brought out a list of games and I was like, oh yeah, okay. All those games I didn't play.
Oh, okay.
So
it's been out for ages, apparently. There you go.
Yeah, it has. It's been out for a while.
And Kazza, the modded PS Mini is good. Yes, the modded PS Mini is good, but it's also technically illegal. Technically.
And here's the thing, how expensive are, PS1s these days?
Oh, yeah. Only, of course.
Like,
exactly. Look if you... I don't know. I've still got the PS3, so if I really want to, I'll go and get PS1 games to play on it.
And well, that's the other thing. I've got a PS2, so screw it.
Yep.
And a PS3, so screw it.
And by extension, I've got a PS2 as well, because I'll just come around and sit on your couch.
This is true. and I've still. And the thing was, while I got rid of all those games, like my old PS1 games, the ones that I kept were the ones that I still want to play, like Gran Turismo and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gran Turismo now is unplayable on the TV I've got now. Just I can't see what's going on.
I'm actually. I've still got my copy of In Cold Blood sitting here on the desk, so I'm going to let Luke have a crack and get his thoughts on it next time I see him. So it should be good. Mate, the Fallout for Fallout 76.
Fallout for Fallout 76. It is still... I think... Alright, so... Bethesda have just decided that they're going to just put up the middle finger to everyone and just going to do what they're going to do. So there's been a new update, and once again, they've broken their promise because the update has brought in non-cosmetic items into the Atomic Shop.
Yep.
It is good. So they're bringing in these things called repair kits.
People have lost their mind.
Yeah, Luke, I mean...
Rightly so, I must admit.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with them on this one, yeah.
Look, they've had this small group of people that have literally been lit the candlelight vigil for them and said, no, we're going to stick by you. You're going to fix this game. You're going to make it great. And look, the latest update, the Appalachia stuff, Looks like they're in the right direction, trying to fix the game and make it more of a Fallout game, more of something. And then they just took that goodwill and pissed it up against the wall with these repair kits. What are repair kits? They're things that you can buy from the Atomic Shop, which will repair your weapons without using any materials or anything like that. It's literally just a one-use item, gets your weapon back to 100% health, and you can keep on shooting. Why is this pay to win? Because anyone that's willing to sink hundreds of dollars on repair kits can have the best weapon in the game set to 100% all the time, which gives them an unfair advantage against those who can't. So, yeah. Now, there's other repair kits. These are the common ones for sale in the Atomic Shop. There are some rarer ones that you can get by doing in-game tasks. And they can actually get your gun up to 150%, which is, dumb in itself. But that's what it is. So anyway, the fact is that this group of people that had the subreddit, the guys that have been, fighting the good fight on Bethesda's half, they've now finally pissed those guys off, and the Reddit is pretty much just melting down to a bunch of people just yelling at them, going, "All right, screw you! You now have literally."
It's very much yelled. That's exactly the way to put it. The Reddit the subreddit for Fallout 76 has turned into pointing and screaming. Really, it's not even coherent anymore.
Well, some of it isn't. It's just people just purely enraged. But then there are other people that have put these well curated arguments, pretty much just saying, "Screw you! This is kind of the last lie. You said nothing but cosmetics, and now you've done this. Now we know that you really don't give two shits. This game is $60. This should have been free from the outset. For the amount of money you now want us to invest in this game, screw you. I'm out." So yeah, look, and to be fair, I'm kind of nervous now about things like the new Elder Scrolls game, the new Starfield game. If this is where Bethesda's head's really at now with their games, and it's not like they haven't tried this before. This is now just the game in which they just went, "Fuck it, we're going to do what we like." And yeah, I'm really worried about the games that are going to come up next.
I think it'll be a bit of a learning curve.
I'm hoping that that's what it is, but I'm not one on that as being.
It really does depend too, because we don't know. We don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know the official numbers. So we all know. Well, for Fallout 76 in itself, we don't know how many people are playing it. We don't know how many people are buying these things, and for all we know, it could just be the minority always has the biggest voice. The people that want to stand on their soapbox and yell and rant and rave so that people pay attention to them are always the ones with the biggest voice. The ones that are enjoying the game, that are just going about doing their thing, they're the ones that are just quietly plodding along, happily enjoying, playing, doing what they want, doing what they feel like, which ultimately, for me, that's what I think, gaming really is. It's what you want and what you get out of it. Whatever anyone else says, and no one can tell me that I shouldn't like that game because of X, Y, Z. I'll go and try it out and figure it out for myself. But if someone goes and actually is enjoying, and if there's a core group of people, whether it could be, it might be 100 people, it might be 3 million people, we just don't know. But it'd be interesting to see, actually, whether it's, is 100,000 people making a noise about this pay to win, but is there 3 million people that are just playing it just because they want to? They're not paying extra money for it. They might pay a little bit here and there, but
I have seen the figures of how many playing the game. I don't remember the exact number, but they wish they had 3 million people.
Yeah, that's just a number I'm pulling out of the air. But
yeah, no, I'm just saying, like that. That's not a good number. Like by any stretch of the imagination, less than 3 million people playing your online service game. That's not a good number. That's a bad number.
No, but that's exactly right. But especially when you look at something like Apex, that's 50 million. But again, that was free.
Your subreddit community that has been backing you up until now, all of a sudden up and
but again,
says
that's Reddit, mate. It's
still a community of people that up until now have been defending this game.
Yeah. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying that we don't know how many are in the background that are just plodding along doing their thing. Because let's be honest, if they've got a core group of people that are playing along, just keeping quiet and spending the money, then everyone else who says no, this is bullshit becomes irrelevant because people will pay the money. And that's where it becomes a problem. That's where we got loot boxes from. That's how we got loot boxes. A small part of the gaming community said, bullshit, we're not spending money on extra things that's a lottery. We've already paid $100 for the game. But people did. Whether they were 12-year-olds that had stolen their parents' credit card or not, they still bought it. And now we have loot boxes in just about everything. So that's where I'm coming from. That's where this theory sort of trails onto. There's still people, if there is still people paying for it and doing this sort of game and supporting it like that, yes, there might be a minority or a group of people, whether it be the Reddit or whatever, that are very vocal about it, the way that they've gone. They will only focus on the fact that, yeah, they whinged about it, but they still did it. Only time will tell, though. And if they fuck up Skyrim, cutting them off.
Well,
or Elder Scrolls, I should say.
I'm not holding out hope, mate. To be honest.
No.
I think
Skyrim has a special place in my heart. The Elder Scrolls universe has a special place in my heart. I got Morrowind the other week for the anniversary. Whatever it was free. I think it's still free until the end of the month. So anyone that's on PC, get the Bethesda downloader. You can pick up Morrowind for nothing. I do warn you, however, it hasn't aged well.
No, it hasn't.
No, it has not.
But may I just say this? We're talking about a world. We're talking about a series that's close to my heart. And this company is shat.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's well within their power. The Starfield is going to be a micro fuck hell, and there's a good chance that Elder Scrolls isn't going to be much better.
I was going to say you dropped out there, but I think there might have been a few expletives in that.
Probably. I'm going to say most definitely.
Most definitely. So anyone that's listening along, you can imagine the voice of Grejio.
Or you can just send me a message exactly what I repeat it for you.
All right. Well, how about something good for Xbox for you for the month of April? So, okay, I've got to keep remembering to turn my head to actually talk into the mic today. I'm all over the place. For the month of April on the Xbox, if you have Gold, Xbox Gold, Live Gold, whatever it is, Black Ops 4 Blackout is free to have a crack at.
Cool.
So that, of course, is the Black Ops Battle Royale. All these bleh. It's just making the mouth is not working.
The Blackout Battle Royale.
Yes. On the Xbox, it's free to try out. On the PlayStation, because they've got the exclusivity for a month or 2 months or whatever it is, they've just released the Alcatraz map, which is much smaller, much more confined, very, very quick. It's still a battle royale map. Certain parts of Alcatraz have got zombies in it, and it's just it's a multiplayer map where you don't get back in real quick. So that's a bit of fun. So yeah, so until the end of April. So once this comes live, you'll hear it. You'll get about 2 more weeks to download and have a crack. I reckon because it's on PlayStation, I think on Xbox, I think we should all jump on and have a crack. What do you reckon?
Sure.
Sounds good. All right. Any other news that popped into your head as we're going away?
No, I think I covered it all.
Radicus has brought one up. No Man's Sky VR.
Oh, look, it'll look just as good, only to be right up next to your face. So you can smell the procedural generation.
The PSVR is actually... It's really starting to find its foothold, I think. I still can't get over Iron Man VR. I've watched that film clip that many times. I've shown my kids. I'm just starting to get my kids involved in the whole Avengers Legacy. So the past 10 years, so I've introduced them to the Hulk, to Iron Man, and to Captain. And they're really enjoying it. And for those who don't know, my kids are 6 and 4, so kind of gets to a point where it's a bit too much for them, but I'm starting them out on some of the ones that are okay. And so the fact that this VR thing was there, and I got so excited about it, and then because it was on first thing in the morning, I was getting ready for work, and then stopped and went, oh my god, as I'm watching it. And my eldest is already a bit of a screen junkie, because that's just what kids are now. And she's, what's that? And automatically jumps up on the bed looking over my shoulder. Oh, what? You're Iron Man? And was so excited as well, which I thought was really cool. So I can't wait for that. And yeah, Skyrim VR, it's... Skyrim's kind of gone. Not Skyrim. No Man's Sky. See, I've got Skyrim on the brain now. Skyrim VR is awesome, by the way. It's brilliant. No Man's Sky VR. It looks really cool. It looks very in-depth and very well made. But unfortunately, the game's it's too far gone for me. I can't get into it. Yes, Kazza, you can watch Dad be Iron Man. No one else can watch. All right. Last words, mate. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll jump in. All right. I've got a shout out this week.
Okay.
So not only do I have a shout out to the brilliant Radicus and Kazza chatting along with us, I have a shout out to a player on the PlayStation that I met while playing the Division. Bloke whose screen name is Sashuki Khan. I'm sure I have butchered that, but it works. On the Division, you can put a call out to, and it's literally putting out a call for assistance. And people that are on the same server as you, they can jump in, they can jump out, they can do whatever. Of late, as the game's gone on over the weeks, so when everyone was on and when everyone was grinding first on, everything was really quick. The matchmaking was quick. It was all really, really good. Now, since they've tweaked things, the matchmaking takes longer. People are getting a bit more pretentious. Oh, I'm not playing with you because you're only a 420 gear score and I'm a 428, so you're a pleb. You know, sort of shit like that. Mm-hmm. And last night, I put a call out because I was going to do some bounties. And bounties can be a bit tricky, so I thought, I'll see if anyone wants to join in. Cool. If they don't, whatever. These blokes jumped in, started chatting just through voice chat, through game chat, and come and cleared the whole map of bounties with me over sort of 2 or 3 hours. And we're talking all things Division, talking about age, talking about other stuff while it was done. It just ended up being a really good interaction. And nice. I just thought it was brilliant. So shout out to you, mate. And yeah, he's added me on PlayStation, so there'll be a few more running around. It was really good too. He'd not played Division 1, so was full of questions about it. And he was telling me that other people that he dropped in with, he'd ask questions and they'd go, I'll just go and Google it and then drop out of the party. I'm like, really? Are people that bad? It's like, mate, I put hundreds of hours into Division 1. What do you want to know? It was someone else I could talk to. So I was like, oh, sweet. And yeah, so absolutely brilliant, mate. It was good fun.
Cool.
Any other shout outs or last words for yourself?
Well, thinking that once I finish here, I'm gonna not go play Forza. I'm gonna go try something new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play Bomber Crew.
Bomber Crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I'll fill you in next week what I think about it. It looks kind of cool. It's really small. It's like only 700 and something meg to download. So
is it multiplayer? Should I download and try and drag myself away?
Might be. I don't know.
I'll have a look.
I haven't tried it yet. I literally started downloading it when I started the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's now ready, so I will. It didn't take very long. So
well, it's only 700 meg on the Xbox. It should be pretty quick then.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, can't wait to hear about that. And yeah, I'll have a look. So it's on Game Pass, yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Well, a couple of plugs. First and foremost, that other show, Lucas's Little Baby.
If it was a plug, it would be a butt.
Of course, that other show has had its first video show. Did you watch that?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting for Lucas to drop in and go, fucking blah, 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 blah. Give me time. I'll get there.
I have watched it, but I do apologise. I can't remember it, but I can't remember much from the last sort of week and a bit anyway. So
I
that's
might
available.
watch it before I play Bomber Crew.
All right, cool. Well, that's available on YouTube and the general shows on iTunes as well. So that's called That Other Show. Sit back, get your whiskey ready, and enjoy the smell of sweet, sweet mahogany and leather.
And leather-bound books.
And leather-bound books. That nice dusty smell. It's all there. A couple of other plugs. Don't forget, if you like to watch things on Twitch, head on over and look for Snoogavision, which is my Twitch channel, and Aussie Gamers TV, which you can have a look at. Lucas's Buffhead. Occasionally, he seems to be getting more and more involved in it, and some of the streams he's been doing has been getting some really good interaction, which I think's been pretty awesome. Actually, I've watched a few of his streams with him lately, and he's been doing trials. Now, all I can say is I've said here many times, trials is not my thing. I don't do well watching him play trials. I get frustrated watching him play it. I'm like, what are you doing? I rage quit Twitch the other night watching him play it. That's how bad it was for me, because I could just, he was just quite calm, quite just going through. You know, we're sitting in a chat party on Discord, everyone's chatting, and he's just quite happily playing away, laughing and carrying on. And here's me raging at the screen. And I wasn't playing it, so good on him. He's gone, and one of these insanely hard tracks he actually got gold on, which I wouldn't have even got to the first checkpoint, so hats off to him. And get on over. So it's Aussie Gamers TV, all one word. Check it out. Hit that follow button and enjoy. Grejio, most of your stuff goes out over on Instagram. Yeah?
It does.
Grejio XBL?
That's the one.
That's the one.
I put something up last night. So.
Yes. So make sure you just get over there and have a look at that as well. I think that's it for the last words.
I think so.
Beautiful. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much to everyone that's listened to the show, and especially those that are still listening this far along. A super special thanks, another one, Kaza, Radicus. Thanks, guys. We'll love it when you're in here. You've always got us having a bit of a chuckle in the background. Grejio, thanks for joining me, bro.
My pleasure.
A bit of a shout out to Lucas for all the editing and bits and pieces. I'm sure he would have jumped in occasionally tonight. To all of our listeners, feel free to continue any of the topics we've discussed on this show on our Facebook page or Discord channel. If you're using Discord, we are getting into that more and more, so we're always having a laugh over there. Generally, if we're playing, we're in a chat party. We've got a few voice channels that anyone's welcome to jump in and chat and play and whatnot. To get in touch with us directly, you can shoot us an email at info@theagexp. Don't forget to leave us a review, comment on your preferred listening platform, because that helps us spread the word out. But of course, the best way for you to spread the word is to just share us around and tell everyone you know about us, because we're all right, even though we dribble a little bit.
Yep.
As always, the links are in the show notes below. As always, that's all from me. I am Snoogs.
And I have been Grejio.
We will see us next time. Cheers.
Whew. Okay, that's the end of this week's podcast. And if you found yourself shouting at your speakers in disgust or maybe even in pleasure, make your way over to our Discord server and make a comment in the appropriate channel. Failing that, you can also have your say over on our Facebook page, or you can just tweet at us. Searching for the Aussie Gamers Experience will usually lead you in the right direction, but you could just use the set of links that are in the show description. This podcast is available through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and plenty more. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of the official podcast of the Aussie Gamers Experience.